This is the One Piece Podcast, episode 552 for the week of Sunday, January 13th, 2019. My name is Zach.
My name is Ed.
And my name is Alex.
And again, we have Sam Leach, the Anime News Network reviewer, everything else, and our anime recap host. He does a lot. Sam's with us. How's it going?
Yo, yo, yo. How's it going?
We're not doing the 4Kids version of our podcast today.
Yo.
So today, we're going to have more guests. Don't worry. Sam, you have a lot of anime recap coming.
Sort of. We had technical difficulties with the triple anime recap last week, and I think we're only going to give those episodes the briefest summary this week and move right on to just a regular single
quadruple recap, Sam. Just say it.
I don't have it in me. I don't have it in me.
Especially this week's episode was the best of the four, so.
Well, there you go then.
I thought they were all pretty good.
So you could call this episode Super King. The best one of the three.
So this week we have our quadruple anime recap, Sam. We also have some Piece Together, and as a special bonus this week, we have been trying to figure things out. A lot of people are busy this week for whatever reason, although at the last minute things ended up kind of working themselves out. We're going to have a special preview of the Dragon Ball broadcast with Ed and I. Ed, do you want to go through a little bit about what this is?
Sure. Well, Zach's never read the Dragon Ball manga.
No.
And I read it once 7-8 years ago.
So we're the perfect people to talk about it.
We're big fans of Dragon Ball, so
true.
We're going to go back and read it from the beginning. And as you can hear in this excerpt from the first episode,
it might be
Dragon
the
Ball
entire first episode, I think.
It may be.
Yeah.
But yes, Dragon Ball used to be a lot different. The Dragon Ball, the first volume of the series, is nothing like what the show would become. Even the later parts of Dragon Ball don't really resemble it at all. So
no.
We discover that and explore that and discover why Yamcha's the best in this volume.
Is that what we did? I don't remember doing that.
He's certainly the best man in the first volume.
I remember talking about how Master Roshi is the absolute worst. That I remember talking about, at least in that. Wow. I didn't recall that, but we'll talk about that more in this. And for those who want to continue listening to this series, it will be exclusive, at least for the foreseeable future, to Patreon at patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. Depending on, our release timeline, eventually that might also be available to all, but we'll see.
And it all depends on when Zach moves, too.
Yeah. Well, no, that's actually going to be happening soon, so we'll see.
Right.
We'll see, yeah. So we'll finally get a little more of a show on the road with the Dragon Ball broadcast there. And if you haven't, please check out patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. Lots of exclusives, outtakes, goodies, videos, a lot more. We're going to have some really cool surprises hopefully coming in the next few weeks. So please subscribe. Again, patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. But there is some news, and maybe we'll do a little mini news segment. So hold on. We'll do that right now. This is, as Ed used to call it, the News Express. Yeah, first let's talk a little bit about something that Greg helped us report on. And Sam, do you want to help us report on what Greg reported on?
Yeah, so I watched Greg's little live stream. He has the VOD of it, the VOD, on his YouTube channel, so you can just sort of like watch him watch the special and sort of translate on the fly.
What is the special, Sam?
It's a special where the television team got a tour of Eiichiro Oda's house / work studio.
Yeah, we learned for the first time that Oda's studio is in his house, and that he apparently, I'm looking at a picture of this, has a train in his house, along with the life-size giraffe that we knew he had, and the Terminator, and all of that.
Yeah, and his staff's video game lounge where, I don't know, it's weird. I don't know why it's weird, but it's weird to think that Oda owns a Nintendo Switch.
Because you might be playing him. That's why it's probably weird for you.
I assume we didn't get to see like anything of the exterior of the house, because I just imagine it being like one of those old Japanese style houses with like the sliding doors and everything. But it's just got all of Oda's weird nerd stuff in it.
As far as I'm to understand, it's like a mansion.
I mean, it would kind of have to be.
Yeah.
For all the stuff he's got.
I mean, especially in Japan. I mean, a mansion in Japan is probably the size of like a normal house in South Dakota. So I don't know how you want to relate that. Anything else cool? Yeah.
Yeah. While it is a house tour, it's also, it's the equivalent of getting an Oda interview, basically, because we have people talking to him throughout the special. Oda is in the special, but they just kind of block his face out with a Luffy head.
Yeah, that's pretty weird.
They should have used the fish.
They should have used the fish.
They didn't do anything to his voice. You can hear what he sounds like as he's talking to these people.
What do you sound like to you, Sam?
He just sounds like a normal dude.
I mean, we've heard his voice before,
Oh yeah, he was a voice. He did in that like soccer thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in front of movie 3.
It was Odachi, of course.
That's right.
Yeah, just some of the more interesting details that I thought were he name dropped Wizard of Oz as the movie ending that he doesn't want One Piece's ending to be like, basically. How
it was all a dream, or was it?
Well
no,
the character
dream it was inside you the whole time.
Oh yeah,
that kind of thing. Yeah. He's like, no, which we knew already, but I remember on the stream, Greg was very excited that he specifically pointed to Wizard of Oz as the I don't want to be that movie.
Yeah. I think it's funny because my friend always teases me that One Piece is going to be something intangible like that. And I'm like, okay, well, you're trolling me, but no, it's not going to be that.
Yeah, Oda
he goes out of his way to say it many times.
The treasure is, in fact, not the friends we made along the way.
I mean, if you want to think of it like that, that's you. That's fine. But it's something else also. Yeah.
In a way, that's true.
There's also the comment where he says that One Piece will probably end somewhere over 100 volumes, which is not a very specific number.
I mean, we're pretty damn close to 100 volumes.
Given the trajectory, it would have to be.
I mean, it would definitely be over that, yeah.
That would only be like another 2.5 years.
Yeah, that's not very much.
Yeah.
What if the ending of One Piece is like the end of 2001?
Oh my god.
Where it's an entire chapter that's just light in color.
Yeah.
Hey, if it's in full color, I mean.
Yeah, I was gonna say if it's in color. Anything else, Sam? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, no, it's funny because I'm reading. Oh, sorry.
No, Alex.
Yeah, I was going to say no. It's funny because I'm reading Pluto and 20th Century Boys, and there's like a whole bunch of color pages that are just colored comics, and it makes me miss when Oda colored the opening pages of a chapter versus just doing the color spreads.
Yeah, he only did that in the time skip. That's the most recent. I mean, of recent chapters. That's the last time he did it. Yeah.
That was the first time he did it in like a while too. Probably since probably since Drum.
The time skip. There was the time skip had a little bit of color, right?
That's why I just said.
No, yeah.
Oh, right.
The time skip was the first time since Drum, maybe. I don't know. I'll have to look through the color walks, but that's kind of where my mind was.
And then the other detail that I thought was super interesting was the fact that I guess they were planning on doing Amazon Lily at some point later in the story, but they decided to move it up to where it ended up in the series because he didn't want it running while his daughter was starting school.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which doesn't really explain the whole rest of the series. That
exactly. I was thinking the same thing.
I don't know. I feel like that has the most skimpy women in it, and I thought to myself, I'm like, oh, what about the Nami stuff from Thrill Bark? I'm like, oh no, wait, that predates that. So, phew. As I wipe a questionable.
Yeah, but then Fishman Island happens like way after that, and that I think is more objectionable. A lot of the early stuff in Fishman Island.
Fishman Island?
Like the mermaid stuff with Sanji and all that shit.
All mermaids are dressed like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember seeing Nami's post time skip design for the first time, and I'm thinking like, whoa, he's really going for the throat now.
Yeah, he's not beating around the bush there. Yeah.
Not the body part I was thinking of, Sam.
Nice.
there's a lot of I've heard a lot of kind of conflicting translations on this whole section here, but the gist that I understood is that like he was worried about how his daughter would feel, doing that story and then like at some point as his daughter was growing older, it turns out his daughter is just poking fun at him for liking boobs, and that over time he got more comfortable.
At least it's also a joke in the Oda household.
Yeah, like they're.
At least he's self-aware, yeah, I should say. Or at least his family is trying to make him self-aware, I should say.
Well, I think it just seems like nobody takes it seriously, which I think is probably the right way to go about it anyway, but I'm just one person.
Yeah. Any other thoughts about it? I mean, hopefully we'll have Greg on at some point to go a little bit more in depth about it at some point in the future. He's been kind of busy. But, anything else, Sam?
Yeah, those were the most interesting points, I think.
Okay. There's a few other little pieces of news. First, one I'm very excited about, and I assume you're a little bit excited about, Alex. The One Piece 20th Anniversary Best Album is coming out. It includes a limited edition, which will include the openings and endings and a bonus Blu-ray disc that contains 2 episodes, 1 and 517. It's not 1 through 517, because if one Blu-ray disc could fit that, it would win some sort of Guinness World Record of something. So that comes out on, I think, February 22nd. There's also a 5-disc set of the soundtrack from the anime episodes, movies, and TV specials. That I'm a little bit more excited about, actually. I don't know, Alex, had you heard about any of that?
Yeah, I saw the article. I'm okay with it. Like, we've gotten so many albums like that are just the openings and endings that it's hard to be excited about something like that at this point, because they're just going to keep making those. And I think it's really funny that they still make ending albums, because we haven't had an ending in the One Piece anime for over 10 years.
Yep.
So the one thing that I think is interesting is that they're releasing a BGM soundtrack, and I'm not sure exactly how much of the BGM it's going to cover. Ideally, it would be everything plus like a new album. I do know that that Koei Tanaka composed new music for the whole Cake Island stuff. I think we even talked about the version of We Are that plays when Luffy re-recruits Sanji. But that hasn't been released yet. I'm kind of assuming that they're going to be releasing at some point another New World BGM album that has all of the whole cake stuff on it, because that Big Mom EP that came out has a few BGM tracks on it. I'm very curious. I jury's out until it comes out, and then I'll be excited.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these things, especially with soundtracks, it's hard to judge before you actually get your hands on them. The One Piece, if we didn't tell you guys, by the way, the One Piece Twitter account is the official one, is now also tweeting in English and French. And they broke a little bit of news as well, including nothing huge, but a little bit about releases that are coming. The last issue of Jump, I think before the one, I guess this week is off because it was shown in Jump 6 through 7. Included some character sheets from the new movie, which we talked about, because they were also, I believe, shown at Jump Festa. The One Piece Magazine Volume 5, we talked a little bit about this, but the cover includes Luffy using Gear 4, Zoro's Wanted poster. It includes the serial novel on Law, as well as character sheets of the 46 Sons from the Charlotte family and more, and that comes out January 25th. Mm-hmm. As we talked about, this is now going to be a quarterly thing, I believe. So if you
certainly there'll be cosplayers and Sanji's cooking and probably some sort of animal diagram.
All the usual fun reasons you pick that up.
Actually, well, yeah, no more interviews with Oda, unfortunately.
At least for the moment. Who knows if that comes back? I mean, Oda has just time on his hands, if I could recall correctly. I think that's about everything in terms of news. So why don't we get into some anime, Sam?
Let's do it. This is the anime recap for episode 868, One Man's Determination, Katakuri's Deadly Big Fight. I'm your host Sam, and today we have a slew of guests. We have Ed.
Hello.
We have Jill, the Minister of Chill.
Hello, everyone.
And we have Rick and Morty's Brian Newton.
Greetings.
So our triple anime recap was a bust.
Audio problems.
Yeah, our general tone throughout them was, I liked all three of them quite a bit. Ed, you were much more lukewarm.
Yeah,
You're getting bored.
I felt like this. I was getting bored with this Luffy Katakuri fight, and that's the way I felt going into this episode. That's like my opinion. It's sort of turned now. I think the fight has turned, especially in this week's episode.
Yeah, I thought that they were getting it. Like, I thought the little kind of story polish they were putting on the Katakuri fight the last few episodes was really good. And I liked in the second to the most recent, or the third to most recent episode, there was some really good, like, little implied filler moments with Pudding and Chiffon that I really appreciated. And basically, we've missed the entire Flampe saga up until the climax.
Missed it? I don't know. It was and that actually I found her annoying in this week's episode, but because that story sort of, well, no, exactly, the story resolves in this episode.
Yeah.
So I got to see her. You know, she has her resolution in this episode, so we can be done with her at this point, and it's cathartic to get rid of her.
I actually really like the character more in the anime than I did in the comic.
Too. That was also what I said in the last the unheard anime recap.
Yeah, I because you need that voice to kind of like really sell the joke of her character.
I like how colorful she is in the anime.
Mm-hmm.
I like how red the red is.
She feels very. It's hard to say this for One Piece, but she feels very anime. Like the anime little sister.
Well, she's like she's kind of a parody of that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed her, especially her voice actress did a really good job adding to the character.
Yeah. So the title card this week begins at 3 minutes and 30 seconds. It's Luffy trying to keep standing, and Flampe and her cronies are all laughing at him, saying he's like a newborn fawn, and Flampe even like mimics the legs of a newborn fawn to tease him. Katakuri's catching on. So he slowly turns his way to him. There's a lot of Katakuri just walking in this episode. He's slowly walking over to Flampe where her little corner is. We get a repeat of Flampe's little fantasy where she wants to be praised by Katakuri and get head pats from him and all that.
Don't we all?
This is where I was rolling my eyes.
You stopped him with your favorite silent blowgun, which I thought was an interesting, like, specific detail. Like, he knows that she has lots of blowguns, and he knows she was using her favorite one. That's
because he's the best big brother. Clearly,
he's a very good big brother.
This fantasy is nothing like Katakuri in real life.
He's thinking back to the damage he did on Luffy. He managed to get he pierced right through Luffy's body because of Flampe's meddling, and so he feels bad about that basically. So he reaches to her. This is where I think like the really there's a lot of, I think, too slow build up in this episode, but the build up is still really effective.
They've had the pad for time, considering that they're kind of out of sync with how the manga's been operating.
Yeah. And they like Katakuri walks up to Flampe, and you're almost anticipating him to like backhand her or something for being annoying. And you think he's about to do something bad to her, and then he turns to try it on himself, and he stabs himself. I didn't think that this shot looked right. Like, his stance is not quite as powerful as it feels in the manga, in my opinion. But he's stabbing himself to level the playing field. Flampe gets blood on her face, and she's shocked and freaking out. And that's when Katakuri pulls the scarf, pulls it off. When men are fighting, don't patronize them. His big monster mouth is right up in her face, and Flampe rolls back, not wanting to be touched by him. If you want to laugh at that silly shit, you know things are real when the Crunchyroll subtitles say shit. If you want to laugh at that silly shit, you're gonna have to laugh at me too.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that they don't do it
Often.
that much. Yeah, swearing can be useful.
It's more effective when it's in moderation in the series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Katakuri, he's breathing heavily. He's just kind of panting slowly because he's got this giant bloody wound in his side now. And we're kind of waiting for Flampe's response, and she's welling up. Tears are coming up. You think she's about to cry, and then she's just like lame. So that now is just like this stream of insults where she's, calling him ugly, saying he looks like a pelican eel.
How the crowd turns.
Yes,
it goes on for so long too.
Yeah, she spits gum. Her gum, the gum she's been chewing for like 4 episodes straight. She spits it right on his face. And Katakuri is thinking back to his childhood when he went without the scarf and kids just ran away from him because he's so tough and weird looking.
I do wonder about this. I do wonder about his childhood. Like, people know he's Big Mom's son, right? Or is Big Mom just not important at this point?
Well, I mean, as we've learned with Pudding, as we've learned with Katakuri, like
Brule.
Everyone who lives in Totoland just treats each other terribly.
Yeah, but I don't know if Totoland was fully established at this point. Remember, he's like Katakuri's like her second son, so she might have been developing, becoming an emperor.
Yeah, he's like
when she was 18, so
yeah, and he was and he's like in his mid 40s. Perospera's 50, I think.
Yeah,
Big
like,
Mom
she probably
a
was
teenage mom.
Yeah,
At that
totally.
point, it's teenage mother.
Teen Mom,
I mean,
Teen Mom, Big Mom edition.
Big Mom.
Reality show about that.
We've speculated about who Perospera's father is, and you don't want to.
Where
are the parents?
Perospera's father is.
Where are the fathers? Where are the fathers? But yeah, like at this point, we can just assume that Big Mom was probably like a powerful pirate and developing pirate, but not like an emperor yet.
Yeah, probably.
So without saying another word, he kind of realizes, who Flampe is and how little he's gonna actually reach her by shouting at her or talking to her. So he just turns and he starts walking back to Luffy. And I like how, because of his face, he's got almost like this permanent Joker smile, where he's just like he kind of has to be content with himself and just sort of forget the haters, basically. Walk back over to Luffy. And this whole time, Flampe is trying to rile up her crew and like take pictures of him so they can spread the news. And how dare you insult your biggest fan? Don't you know who I am? So it's a very long walk. Finally, Katakuri returns to Luffy. He's like, "I'm sick of these guys, aren't you?" And Luffy's like, "Yeah." And they both just shoot the Conqueror's Haki. And it's like
that was really cool. That was awesome.
Sequence where everyone's getting knocked out. Flampe's like, "What? Him too? That kid's got Conqueror's Haki too." And then that brings us to the eye catch of the episode. We come back. It's Bedge and Chiffon. They're talking about their plan for delivering the cake, and Bedge is determined to go to Liqueur Island. But Chiffon wants to go to Fluffy Island because it'll take them a little bit longer, and then they can guarantee that by the time Mom eats the cake, the Straw Hats will more than likely be gone already. So they're taking the riskier, longer route because Chiffon wants to repay her debts to the Straw Hats, and she's extra determined, and her determination just gets more of her husband's respect.
Yeah, this is also the moment where I think right after we see Big Mom at her thinnest, and she is so terrifying.
Yeah, she looks more like a witch than ever.
She looks more like Brule, honestly. You can see the family resemblance.
Yeah,
definitely.
Horrifying. Like, just imagine that. Like, she's giant too, so like this giant, horrifying skeletal woman flying after you on a giant sun,
on a giant ball of fire.
Yeah,
but the bigger Prometheus gets, and the Prometheus is getting bigger because it's like Mom's soul like acting up. But the bigger Prometheus gets, I guess he slows down a bit. Pudding and Sanji are heading off to Cacao Island, so the Sunny doesn't have to go through this big wall of ships and whatnot. And they're having their Sanji Pudding moment. Sanji's being nice, and Pudding's like, "Oh, don't you think I like that?"
And there's also and then Carrot just happens to wake up just after they leave because they can't. Because of what they told Sanji last episode.
So this is a great example of them expanding on the manga's material with Smoothie attacking the Thousand Sunny from behind. They didn't explain in the manga. They didn't explain why Smoothie was able to get big. They kind of go into it in the SBS, but here we see her like sticking her own men with her sword and like draining their liquid like crocodile almost. Except when she drains their moisture, she gets bigger.
This also reminded me of like Cell from Dragon Ball.
Yeah. I've just been watching those episodes, and it's exactly like that. And it's interesting that Cinnamon says like you've gone too far, but that's why she's a general and you're not. So
it's because they had prisoners, right? They were like she was taking them from prisoners at first, and then eventually she ran out of prisoners and started using her own men.
Mm-hmm. I thought they did a really good job making this kind of action scene feel very fast and immediate. It's just like big sword slashes, just barely missing the Sunny, but it feels so. The attacks feel so big and quick.
Yeah, and Jinbei gets to be cool.
Yeah,
Jinbei is always cool.
Yeah, just him standing there, he's cool.
He doesn't get to be on screen very much.
So we're back to the mirror world, and Katakuri is basically catching Luffy up on what's happening, and Luffy just kind of brushes the whole Flampe thing off, like, "Oh, fairness isn't guaranteed in a pirate fight. You don't need to apologize to me," and which is just Luffy being awesome.
Good lines.
Yeah, Katakuri. He's removing his jacket. He's putting his dukes up. The cut where he's like putting his fists up for the first time like a boxer. His fists are a little too close to his chest, so it looks really goofy. Like it looks like he's like just like squishing his shoulders together or something. So then there's just kind of a long silence as they as they very slowly get through this final dialogue exchange.
I do like the conceit that there's spotlights on both of them, like it's a prize fight.
Yeah, that's good.
I no longer think that you are much weaker than me, and Luffy's just like, all right, thanks, still gonna win. And then they get back to their fight. It's an attack where they're both punching each other at the same time. You kind of half expect them to both land on each other's faces, as is tradition with these kind of anime fights. But Katakuri hits him first, and Luffy's like arm is stretched out like he's about to hit him, but like
Katakuri's so much bigger.
Katakuri's much bigger
in that side shot.
Like Luffy's almost gonna look cool, and then pow right in the face, and like his arm that almost reached him just kind of goes limp. But then he gets his fire back, and then he stretches and he punches Katakuri again, and then it's the classic anime double punch or simultaneous punch or whatever you want to call it.
That's so uniquely One Piece. Stupid like stretch all the way around just to get back at his face is so good. I loved it.
Yeah, it's really good. And that's the last shot of the episode. Any general thoughts, you guys?
This is the most I've enjoyed the anime this year.
Yeah.
2 weeks in, but
is it all you have to say?
No, it was a fun episode. I like that we got the satisfying narrative conclusion to the Flampe thing, because otherwise she's just annoying and hanging around. Now that she's, she can be annoying as long as we can do something with it at the end. Love the clash between Luffy and Katakuri. The emotion and sort of impact of the Conqueror's Hockey clash was impressive. And like we talked about with Smoothie and Big Mom, they get a chance to shine in this episode too. There's Smoothie in particular, but Big Mom is in every episode.
Jill?
I really like the expansion on the Smoothie stuff. It makes it a lot easier for anime watchers to understand what's going on. Some of the pacing in this was a little off. I understand they were stretching it, like I get it. But my God, the Flampe just like insulting Katakuri endlessly, like it went on real long. I was like, holy shit, how many like insults did they have to come up with to pad this? But I liked most of the animation. Music choice has been really tight the past couple of weeks, really good.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I enjoyed Flampe a lot more in the anime than in the manga, because I really get a feel for her character when it's so colorful like that, which can be hard to come over in the manga. I'm glad that the Luffy and Katakuri fight is coming to a close, because as much as I love it, it takes a while, and it's getting to like the really good conclusion here.
Something has finally changed in the fight.
Yeah, Katakuri and Luffy is like like friendly like rival just like fighting is so good. I'm so glad Oda added it in because we needed, I think, that kind of foil for him, especially when their powers are so close together. It's great.
Yeah. Brian?
Yeah, I thought this episode was serviceable as far as animation is going. There was nothing like too wonky outside that last punch, and I think the hyping up of the Conqueror's hockey in this episode, also with the Flampe and her goons being like total like divas and paparazzi, which was also in the manga, but I had forgotten about it until this moment. And definitely a big shout out to the voice actress to Flampe, because I think she really sells the performance that was absolutely necessary. That I think her personality communicates in the manga, but just this heightens kind of the ridiculousness of her character and the obnoxiousness of her to have her interrupt this fight between the quote unquote two men. I only because like I missed last week's recap or last episode's recap, that I really wanted to talk about how good the animation was, specifically in the previous episode with Katakuri versus Luffy. There's a couple of shots of just like his spear work and like the action distance shots. I was like blown away that I couldn't believe it. But this one, coming back to it, it's not like it's a heavy action episode, but I generally was okay with what they did with Luffy and Katakuri and the expansion of how Smoothie's powers work, and like that awesome turn that Jinbei has on piloting the Sunny. It shows like it kind of elevates the level of like shipman work we've never seen really or rarely see in One Piece. It's like how like ship battles can be really dynamic in this world, and I hope we get to see more of that going forward.
Yeah, this is definitely, it's a strangely paced episode because it feels, because it's kind of taking things from a few different chapters and putting them into one episode. So it feels like there's a lot of variety in the kinds of scenes, especially with like Capone and Chiffon and Smoothie. But then the Katakuri specific scenes, like the parts where they really kind of stretch certain scenes out, it really stands out a lot. But it's weird in a way that worked for me, surprisingly. Like I've always kind of stood up for this chapter in the manga, but in the anime, like I can much more realistically like imagining myself like if I was pushing through all these different episodes and then it finally got to this, and this is like the kind of the conclusion or the real turning point. Like it would have felt like more natural than it did in the manga, where it feels like very sudden and random.
Yeah, we also in the manga, I remember that when Luffy got stabbed by Katakuri, that was like during a break, and so like the pacing really gets broken when that happens versus when you kind of like you can go in episode to episode and they kind of change where big cliffhangers are happening. Because I noticed in the manga, in the anime, all the cliffhangers are always on Luffy and Katakuri, so you're always kept in the pace of this battle.
Yeah, well, that those parts I thought were weak when like the episode had nothing to do with Luffy versus Katakuri, and yet that's still like how we're trying to like end each episode.
I fully agree, but that I think explains kind of like Ed's kind of like feeling like this fight's being drawn on without much happening, because every time when nothing's going on, we cut back to see them. It's like that's not necessary.
Yeah, I have a lot to say about like what this episode is trying to do, like thematically, and like the kind of the fan commentary, the fandom commentary that's kind of baked right into it. But I went further into that in my ANN reviews. I don't really want to go through that here, but yeah, I think this is such an interesting turning point for the story, and I think that the adaptation is interesting. I really liked it overall, though. Is that? Sorry. Is it all? Are we ready to move on to the next segment?
I'm excited for where the anime is going.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We got the best stuff waiting for us still.
I'm very excited.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on.
Okay.
This is the Dragon Ball broadcast, episode 1, covering volume 1. My name is Zach.
And my name is Ed.
And you may know us from the One Piece podcast. We are trying something new here. We're going to talk about a different manga, one that's already finished. So, less theorizing and more commenting, I guess.
Now, Zach, did you say this is the Dragon Ball broadcast or the Dragon Broad Ballcast?
Well, you are perfectly in tune with the kind of humor that you will be expecting reading this series.
I don't know. I think it changes a bit after these two volumes. It gets more... It gradually over time, but it's most gag humor in this first two volumes.
Like, I was not expecting every page to have a sex joke on it.
You didn't think that there would be Goku's just dicking balls out in the first two pages? Like,
no, that I knew, because that happened in the anime, too. And I remember Toonami had to deal with that.
Not in the version... I'm actually holding a version of the original Dragon Ball anime that I got on accident. Because earlier this year I was trying to buy the Pioneer versions of the DVDs for the first three DBZ movies.
Ooh.
And instead I got... one of them was the Saga of Goku. The original TV dub of the original Dragon Ball anime before they did the dub of DBZ.
Right.
It's got some censorship there.
Well, yeah, there are a lot of balls and boobs and all the... It's weird. Should we talk about our history with Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z before we go into the actual manga? Yeah. Ed, go for it. You could start.
Let's see. I first saw Dragon Ball Z, it would have been like 1997. It was either on... I forget if it was on Toonami or on like Fox, like afternoon block.
Yeah, it was on there for a little while.
Yeah. So that's where I first saw it, and I watched a lot of it on Toonami. I was, season 3 was a big deal to me. DBZ season 3. Yeah. Hadn't watched any of the original Dragon Ball at that point. Although at a certain point, I was waking up at 6 in the morning to watch Mexican dub.
Oh yeah,
Channel 44 with the original music, which I
forgot about that.
Why I'm torturing myself by going through the Dragon boxes, and I can get through it because I like the voice actors and I like the music. But the anime, it's got some problems. But then I sort of fell off of that around 2002. That would have been around the time with the Androids anime was on Toonami, I think. You would know better than I was. You were watching a lot more anime at that point.
Yeah, I think we almost have an inverse relationship with Dragon Ball, because I think all the time
I watched it in middle school. Yeah.
I watched it in middle school through high school, and then I fell off of it a little, and I think you got back into it when I was falling off of it.
Right. Well, we watched a lot of Adult Swim and Toonami when we were roommates freshman year in college. And you definitely got me back into anime.
Yeah, and you got me to fall off of it. No, yeah, for me, Gundam Wing and Dragon Ball Z were my two drugs that hooked me into anime and that whole world. I remember very vividly being into both of those shows, like rushing home from my middle school to go see both of those on Toonami. I think, DBZ was in reruns forever, and I think that I caught it during the season 3 reruns.
Season 3 started in 99, I think.
So I think I started... I didn't get Cartoon Network for the longest time. Like, my cable provider just didn't have it. But I remember the first anime I ever saw was probably in like 96 or 7. We had a brief, what do they call it? Like sample of Cartoon Network, like for a month it was available.
Preview.
Yeah. And I remember the episode I saw, this was the very first episode of any anime and Dragon Ball Z that I saw. It was the filler episode with Gohan and the alien kids on another spaceship. Do you remember this one, Ed?
Yeah, the mirror spaceship.
Well, you must have just watched it since you've been going through the Dragon
Box. That's like on the border of like Dragon Box 1 and 2. I watched that a few months ago. But yeah, that is just before Fake Namek.
Yeah, I remember that too. I think those were like the first episodes I saw, and then they took Cartoon Network away from us, so I didn't get to see that again for I think a few more years. And then in middle school, my friends were like, "Oh, you gotta watch Toonami. It has all this, these shows."
That's that would have been the Ocean dub with
back then. Yeah, and
with different bad music.
I mean, I was also... I think they used to call them Toonami Takus or whatever they were called back then. Before they call them, I think now it's like Toonami Faithful or whatever it might be.
Oh.
Yeah. But
was it a website, or that was just what people
No,
called
I think that's just what people called it. I don't know. I might be making that up.
I don't know. I was so unplugged from anime in high school that I'd been so into it briefly.
See, it was the opposite for me. So like my first website I ever made was in 1999, and it was a really bad. It's embarrassed to say this, especially at the beginning of a brand new podcast I'm doing. It was a what do you call them? Fan fiction website, basically, for Dragon Ball. Not the kind of fan fiction some of our fans and Akira Toriyama from these from these volumes may be thinking. It was just like regular old, like, I'm 12 or 13 and I'm gonna make up what happens next.
This is how you managed to have a novel written by the time you were in college.
Let's not talk about that either. So, I did that. I eventually, got my way into the Adult Swim website world from there. I mean, I was super hooked into like Toonami Digital Arsenal, which still is around. And that kind of stuff, just because of Dragon Ball Z and Gundam Wing, those two series really hooked me into the anime world. And I just remember being a kid and being like, why can't I do a Kamehameha? Why am I not able to do that? And for some reason, I didn't actually go into martial arts until college, when I was like done with a lot of the Dragon Ball Z stuff. And then I remember in college, to bring things back around to you, Ed, you watching the Japanese episodes of the Cell Saga, and being like, oh, you haven't heard Norio Wakamoto do Cell? You got to watch this. Or something along those lines.
That was that would have had to have been the first place that I had seen. That was the first time I watched Japanese original dubbed anime, the 2005, 2006.
Yeah, and I remember I was also dreaming about that. Do you remember the story? You could probably tell it better than me, since it involves me.
Oh yeah, well yeah, you talk in your sleep a little bit, and
I do that.
You were talking. You're consoling Vegeta that he was not stronger than Goku, something to that effect.
I said, you're still cool, Vegeta, or something like that.
You're still cool, Vegeta.
You're still cool. You told me. I don't remember any of this. I remember waking up in the middle and being like, what? What are you talking? And Ed is just cracking up on the other side of the room.
Yeah, also you slept a lot more than I did, so.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other podcast. Yeah.
So did you read any of the manga for this at all? Did you buy any of it ever?
No.
I know you bought you bought Jump, US Shonen Jump when it started in 2003, right?
I think I owned the original. I definitely had the Beckett magazine. I was super into that.
Oh yeah, let's talk. You want to talk about Greg a little bit? Because I remember definitely reading his website, like, to learn character names and stuff, and find out more about the
Dragon Ball Z info site.
The ultimate Dragon Ball Z info site.
The ultimate site.
Yeah, we didn't have anything. There was no even season 3, and I wasn't going to swap meets. I wasn't buying, even like bootleg tapes, and I never really did that.
I was too young, and I didn't have like expendable cash to get like that. I got the Beckett magazines. I got
Greg also wrote for.
Which Greg also wrote for. The Animerica stuff. I remember going to Planet Namek, the website, until that got shut down. Yeah.
They had clips.
Yeah, there were a few others. You got into like the more sophisticated ones, like Daizenshu.
Oh
and Greg's site. Yeah,
I remember back in the day, Vegeta EX's homepage, I downloaded some 96 kbps live versions of some of the insert songs that I think I still have, possibly like 20-year-old MP3s on my computer, because I think they've survived. Because those are hard.
Yeah, but Ed, do you have Winamp to play those songs?
Yeah, I have a plugin that mimics
the way they were supposed to be played.
Yeah.
Wow, this makes me feel very old. No, so I mean, Dragon Ball Z was really a very, very important part of growing up for me. And
when did you first realize that there was also Dragon Ball? Like, was that advertised? It was on Toonami?
It was on Toonami. 2003 or 2, I think, is when that premiered. Very early 2000s. Maybe it was 1 even. And I remember enjoying it. The anime is also, I haven't watched the anime since it's been on Toonami, and I've never read the manga before. This is my first time. One of the reasons I'm doing this is my first time through the Dragon Ball manga, volume 1 through 42. So Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z.
So this is a lot more fresh for me than it is for you, because after
you're kind of here to guide me.
The Dragon Ball anime is what I watched because I was unfortunately downloading a lot of fan subs at the time. Torrents were new back in 2005.
Yeah, wow, yeah. You had torrents and I guess 05 was when.
No, I was a bad little media pirate. I was torrenting movies in like 2003. I remember torrenting.
When's the statute of limitations run out on this ad?
I've moved like 10 times since then. Yeah, but no, that was the thing at the time. I didn't have any money to buy DVDs, and I feel badly about that now. But I've gone back and bought so many things. You should see my shelves at this point. I live in the used bookstore.
You do.
What's wrong with me?
You do. I've seen it. I used to live with it, so I remember. No, you definitely made it up and then some. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I got. Like, I think I had dual audio versions of people were learning how to use the MKV video format at the time. So I watched all of that, and that was like when I ran out of that, it was only like 1 month into like 3-month summer vacation, so I watched One Piece.
Right. And I mean that's how you got into One Piece, and then you got me into it, and that's 10 years later, that's where we are.
And then 2008 was when I first bought the manga, because I had these Viz Big editions or at least of Dragon Ball. I didn't buy them for Dragon Ball Z.
You know, I think I remember when you bought those and from where you bought those, actually. It's like coming back.
I don't really. Was it from the? It wasn't from like.
I thought it was the Bethesda Barnes and Noble, was my guess, but maybe not.
That might be that, but I remember having to put a hold on the U.S. version of Color Walk 1 and going to get it at that Bethesda Barnes and Noble, where we almost got run over by that lady many years later in Maryland. And yeah, I think I probably would have gone there because I don't think there was anywhere else. Well, maybe other places in DC would have had it, but
anyway, we should probably talk more about Dragon Ball. We could talk about our lives for a while and reminisce.
That's part of Dragon Ball, is just reminiscing.
That's true. So Dragon Ball is like the most popular anime series of all time, I think we could say. We don't really need to introduce what it is, I think, to our listeners here. It's kind of a different thing in the first couple of volumes. That's the thing, and I was kind of surprised. Like, I haven't really.
I mean, I distinctly remember that because I've had that experience twice now. Because granted, you were still in like middle school, high school when you saw any part of the Dragon Ball anime. I've watched it all the way through twice, and read it as well. So.
I do remember it transforms into something very different, but I didn't remember the starting point being just like kind of this perverse thing. I remember it being like the adventure. Let's go out and see the world and all that kind of fun stuff. But
it's I don't know. Have you ever read any Dr. Slump?
No. You see, I have a lot to catch up on here, Ed.
Yeah.
Well, should we go back and do that instead? Should we just stop this right here?
I mean, we do get a Dr. Slump gag in Volume 2.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. I think there was one in Volume 1 too, because when Master Roshi is first introduced, there's a small Dr. Slump gag. Yeah.
And remember when people were this is much later, but remember when in was it Battle of Gods or Krillin?
That's significantly later. Yes.
Yes, it is. But he's a policeman and his phone rings, and it was the One Piece anime theme.
Yeah.
That at some point in the Android saga, Krillin's phone rings and it's the Dr. Slump theme.
Oh. So Krillin is like the conduit to other series. Yeah. I thought he came earlier in this series, so I was surprised. Like I read through the first 2 volumes as of this recording, and I was just surprised that he hasn't shown up yet as of my reading.
Yamcha and Oolong are so much more important in the first 2 volumes.
Oh my god, Yamcha! Like I wasn't one of
the best. Yamcha's the star of the first 2 volumes. He's hilarious.
He is, but I didn't understand. Like, there's a big hatred out there. Like, I've been listening to All Systems Goku recently, and Yamcha also has just been like the butt of jokes in around the world. I think there's the figure of him, you know, after he has gotten
dead,
beaten, dead. Well, dead. Yeah, that's actually true. That is what happens. Spoiler alert: Yamcha dies. So I wasn't prepared to hate him as much as that, but he's kind of annoying in these. I think purposely so, but he is kind of annoying.
I don't know. I don't even know if I could find him annoying because he's just so dweeby and pathetic.
Dweeby. That is the perfect word for him. Such a dweeb.
He's a dork. Yeah, but he's trying to be cool, and I don't know. It all sort of pays off in Volume 2.
He's apparently a good-looking dweeb, but Bulma is the weirdest out of. Since we're getting into, first off, I want to say before I get into Bulma, Shonen Jump and the Shonen Jump comics are now available for free online. The first few chapters, and this is one of the reasons we're doing this, is because now Viz has their whole library up. It's just $2 a month. So if you want to read along with us, it's really easy. You go to viz.com/shonenjump or shonenjump.viz.com and subscribe, and you can read along with us. It's chapters, I think volume 1, here's chapters 1 through 11. So, I mean, let's talk about first.
No, it's actually, I wanted to talk about that first because there is a different format. Shonen Jump, it was a comedic-oriented series in the early going. Mm-hmm. You can see that the chapters are only 14 pages.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, I have to look at the table of contents. Yeah, it's 11 chapters, but that's actually not
how it was
representative. Well, but no, it is because as you know, volume 1 is always longer, or chapter 1 is always longer.
Yes.
So, volume 2 is actually 14 chapters, 13 chapters.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah. They go pretty quick.
It's just because the chapters are shorter. Because I think it was the gag manga had shorter chapters at the time, and I think that was what he was coming from at the time.
I agree. So what the hell's up with Bulma? This is like, I'm just used to, it's like a Dragon Ball Z fan going back and seeing like, what the hell happened? Where did these characters come from? She's also, I have never seen a human being harassed so often, so much.
Well, I mean, Master Roshi is just disgusting in these
two volumes, and this one in particular.
The worst,
Somehow Oolong is a little worse, but I guess at least he's supposed to be like a young kid here, so he's like...
Is he? Because otherwise, there is a point where he really looks like a pedo.
We should probably get back to that, but I know he says like, oh, I'm younger than her, but still, I think they imply that he's like probably... Right. Although Goku's supposed to be way older than he looks here. What was he, 14?
It's a gag. It's a gag. It's a gag later on. I think he's actually 12.
Okay.
It's at some point in volume 3, maybe when they're registering for the Budokai, that he you told me you were 14. Like, no, I think, he's actually supposed to be 12 because he's always, I think, been 4 years younger than Bulma.
Yeah, that makes way more sense. I was gonna say that makes no freaking sense.
She's always the sort of older sister, but she's taking advantage of Goku to an extent, and
100%.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not. I don't know. It's definitely not something that would happen in any sort of manga today.
No, none of this is. It does not age very well, is what I want to say. These first 2 volumes do not age well.
Yeah, the punchline of the entire first chapter is Bulma hanging from Nyoibo pissing herself.
Yeah, I was not expecting that.
I'm not sure if Bulma flashes her vag in the first chapter, or is that the second chapter?
I think it's the second chapter. Accidentally, but still.
That's chapter 3, because it was set up for 2 whole chapters of because he takes her panties off without her noticing in the second chapter, and then in the third chapter she flashes Roshi.
Look, if anyone could really plant a perverse joke, it is Akira Toriyama slowly pacing out his I do want to say on the higher note that the art is really nice. Yeah. I love Toriyama's art, and I'm very excited to see more of that.
There's the cool thing of his fight against the Wolfman and the Pteranodon, all the animals that appear in the first volume or so are.
I mean,
I'm so radical.
I'm assuming he also did the backgrounds because this is a first chapter. And they look great, and you really feel like you're in mystical China.
Yeah, if you notice how cheeky the narration is.
Oh yeah.
It thinks Toriyama's still writing as though he's in a gag manga, even well through volume 2.
Do you know what's weird? I just imagine Viz's Uriah Brown saying all the narration because it's that very cheeky, perverse sense of humor. So it's the art is fantastic. The gags make me extremely uncomfortable, and
it's also very funny though.
Some of it is. Some of it's like a little bit ridiculous. A lot of the jokes... pants isn't the worst one, but
which one?
Her peeing her pants isn't the worst one. That's a weird one.
Yeah. Anyway, what else is there?
Let's Goku? See. Do you want to talk about Goku?
Yeah. Actually, that's what I was gonna say. Goku. A lot of the funniest jokes are about Goku and how ignorant he is. Like the constantly feeling people's crotches to see, like discovering that there is women,
2 genders. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least 2.
And it happens like across the first volume, like multiple times. He does it to like the best part was when they meet in the chapter where they meet Oolong, where he checks the girl, and it's horrible. But then he checks the old lady, and she's flattered.
That was a good gag. I thought that was funnier.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the difference between the pat and the puff puff.
Yep. I'm learning so many important Japanese phrases here. I
like that the English makes the turtle sound like a butler.
Thank you. No, I sound like a Gomer Pyle kind of thing is what I was thinking.
I was thinking he sounded like, was it like Dragoon or Red Mantle? That's what I was thinking he sounded like.
Sure. Yeah, no, that works too. I was thinking, ooh, what a fright. It's, ooh. Like that kind of, I'm sorry.
Shazam!
Yeah, exactly.
As Jim Neighbors.
Yeah, that's what I was imagining with Turtle, who never gets a name, does he?
Mm-hmm. He's just
Turtle.
Yeah,
he's just
Gamera shows up in Volume 2. But
yeah. Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Lots of fun stuff happens in Volume 2, but and yeah, we talked. So, how do you pronounce his Japanese name, Master Roshi?
Kame-senin?
Kame-senin? Okay, I just don't want to say it.
Yeah. Wrong. Kame means turtle. Kami
right.
means God, right?
Kamehame.
Yeah. I always wonder, how many because there are like English specific gags in this.
Oh yeah.
Isn't that a King of Hawaii?
Yeah, that was weird. That's Volume 2.
I mean, he might have known that. Otherwise, where would he have gotten the name from? But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that. First off, Hawaii, I'm pretty sure, does not exist in the Dragon Ball world, which is way different than our world.
The Dragon Ball world wasn't that defined at this point.
No, the world is really bizarre here. I like it. It feels very like open and like anything could be there, which I like. But also, we go around different parts of the world really quickly here. Like I wasn't expecting that. And also, so Kame-senin, or whatever we want to call him at this point, pops in. Is just the worst human being on the face of the earth. His immortal phoenix, doesn't work.
Yes, the issue with the tainted bird seed, sir.
He might be invisible also, so we're not quite sure if he arrived. But we get as it's called in English, the Nimbus Cloud in the anime. It's called the Kintoon. Tell me if I'm pronouncing things right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Kintoon.
So that's a fun gag. At least the Cloud agrees with us that Master Roshi is just the worst. He knew before we even see like the worst of it.
Right. I was so surprised about how important Oolong was to these first few chapters.
I was shocked.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was surprised at the time, but even going back, it's like he's just a guy who hangs out in Master Roshi's house later on. And then oh man, there was terrible filler with
yeah, I think I know
with Marin during the Android Saga. That's what I'm watching in the Dragon Box right now, but not during like the Garlic Jr. So this is where she comes back and just hangs out at Master Roshi's house for like 5 episodes, and then she leaves, and they all agree to never tell Krillin about it. Because this is like 3 years after she's last seen him in the anime.
Oh my god.
Everything involving her is like the worst. Like the anime writers have no respect for women.
Yeah. I think they take some cues from these early chapters. Bulma is I don't know how to take Bulma because she is a strong.
I don't know. She's strong. She's smart. She's also cheeky and horny.
Yes, yeah. It's a very odd combo. I
don't know.
An odd character. Yeah.
It's very. I don't know. It's very teenage.
Yeah, I guess she's a teenager. She has all those teenagery things.
Yeah, like she thought Yamcha was cute from the beginning, but he was just afraid of her for the first.
Right.
That was like chapter 5. Or chapter
I feel
6.
like she'd think anyone was cute. Like she doesn't.
No.
Well, okay.
Yeah, she like I don't know. She doesn't.
Well, when handsome Oolong comes in the picture,
or when he's the ogre, then he transforms into like He kind of looks like the Budokai announcer when he has a mustache. I think that's just. Or no, it kind of looks like Shen, like Kami's body.
Yeah, a little bit. I know what you mean. Anyway, yeah. So Oolong is in it a lot.
He's such a joke factory. You're doing the thing of like he's in his robot form, but he's holding a bowl of soup. But he's in robot form, but his thumb gets in the soup and he burns himself. But
where did the soup come from? Yeah, and he's a robot.
That was a good question. I don't know. He also like at one point he turns into a Bob-omb, which was from Mario, human bullet or bullet bill.
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah. And the bat, and he was the ox.
Right.
And he's extremely weak, which is, I get why he's there. He's the shapeshifter, and that's always fun.
Yeah, I do. I love the way they reveal that gag with Puar at the end, of like, hey,
we went to the same school. I completely forgot Puar even had that ability. I remembered Oolong had the ability to change shape, but Puar, who's kind of in the background for most of the series, I forgot.
Yeah, he's actually Puar is a boy, right? I
believe so.
Yeah.
Either way, he's a much better person thing than Oolong is.
Right. Like Oolong got kicked out of shapeshifting school for stealing teachers' panties.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, he can only transform for 5 minutes. But he's also so weak that he lets all the women,
Oh yeah.
Let's be honest, girls. And also he's young himself, but it's still weird. Like
it's bizarre.
They just walk all over him. They've become entirely spoiled.
That was a good gag. I like that gag. At the end of that chapter, was that 6? Yeah,
something like that. It's important that Oolong does not win at anything.
No, he loses at everything. To the fact where he has explosive diarrhea for like half the volume, which is great. I could always go for.
That's all the way through the end of volume 2.
And I guess the panties gag is a setup for, if I recall, the end of this arc, if you want to call it, the end of this storyline.
Yeah. Although when he's trying to escape and they're on the river and she fishes for him with quote fresh panties.
Yeah.
So I tweeted it. Fresh as in clean, or
no? I don't think that's what that means.
I don't think that's what that means.
I don't think that's what that means.
And Goku and Yamcha first fight.
Yeah.
Goku punches Yamcha through the panel.
Yeah.
He breaks the panel.
That was so cool. Yeah. That was fun.
I did not expect that tweet to go viral like it did, but it's got like 500 likes and 100 retweets today.
Oh, really? That's great.
I don't know. It's weird because I thought that there were other gags. I was doing a bunch of Dragon Ball shit posting as I was reading last night, and I don't know. I guess I don't know why that one took off, but I thought a lot of them were funny.
No, yeah. So yeah, Yamcha, the dweeb of Dragon Ball. I expected the Wolf Fang Fist or the Fist of the Wolf Fang to be a little cooler or bigger.
It's not cool because he only defeats Goku because he's hungry.
No, he doesn't even use the fist. He just kicks him in the head. Like, I'm looking at this right now. He's like, Fist of the Wolf Fang. And Goku's like, huh? And he kicks him in the head. That is not a fist. And I guess then he uses it, but it's still. It's like he's tricking. You know, the one thing in Shonen is you do the thing you're saying. But I guess not. Whatever. But you're right. He was just hungry. So Yamcha, even some of these other, side characters that come along the journey, have put up a good fight against Goku. But Yamcha doesn't really. I guess he does, but accidentally. Anyway, then Yamcha tries to sneak in, and there's that whole gag in the camper.
That one's very good. I love that gag. That's his eyes turn into nipples.
I don't even remember that.
Oh, Oh, the part where he like sneaks up to the no, this is later afterwards after he sneaks in.
Right.
And
oh yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, like as he's running away. That was the one that
I did not realize those were nipples, but yes, they are.
I don't know. I mean, obviously the editors didn't think that they were either because he got away with it. I mean, I don't think you could show, as Tumblr would say, feminine presenting nipples in Shonen Jump in 1984, but I mean, it's 1984. You can tell it's 1984 by Yamcha's hair.
As was the style at the time.
Beautiful Kentucky waterfall.
That's what they should call him. Beautiful Kentucky Waterfall Yamcha. That's his full name. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's defeated by tits.
Not the first time. I mean, not the last time and not the first time. And they have a rematch, and Goku kind of wins, but he finds out about the Dragon Balls and all that. And then they go to see the Ox King, whose name is, can you pronounce Gyuma?
Gyumao. It's the same as Piccolo Daimao.
Oh yeah.
Demon King.
Yeah. And it's funny because Oolong is the one talking about it, and he previously was an ox. So it speaks from experience. So things kind of come together. We get the introduction of Chi-Chi, who really her character takes some turns through the course of the series. From this character, yeah.
I have to assume she's the same age as Goku, right? Like she's supposed to be like
12.
Yeah. It's interesting because like earlier on in the volume, you see Oolong trying to kidnap like little girls. Yeah. I mean, because he's younger himself.
He's probably 12, I assume.
Which makes it even more weird,
Yeah.
But but Yamcha's a good guy. He's like, I'm not interested in children. Like, we just knock her out.
By the way, this is the line of what a good guy is in Dragon Ball. Oh no, you're not interested in children? That's great. You're a good guy.
What? I mean, Oolong is the worst. He tried to molest Bulma when she was sleeping in the truck, too.
Oolong's bad. Oolong is a bad guy.
He's a bad, yeah. I mean, he doesn't look as bad next to Roshi, but...
No, Roshi also happens into worse circumstances. Like, he asked for it, but then it ends up being, like, even more... the fact that she wasn't wearing underwear in that first gag.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that... he wasn't expecting that, but it was still weird and disgusting. Also, he's immortal, okay, guy? Like, you don't need to do that kind of stuff.
I did wonder about that. I used to think that it would be like Yamcha would become like the hermit later on, but like he's too much of a good person to be.
Yeah.
Like based on and later on the Crane guy.
Yamcha reminds me a lot of how am I forgetting his name from Water 7, the rope guy? Paulie. They have the same gag where it's like, why are you dressed so inappropriately? How dare you?
Well, it's kind of the same gag, but he's just like, he can't even handle it. He's just he's off.
I mean, I don't think Yamcha could really handle it either, as you mentioned in that earlier gag with the
right. He just shuts down. He can't articulate that he thinks it's nasty. Right. He's clearly interested.
At least Paulie could say that I am interested, but please stop.
Do you like his Hanna-Barbera dune buggy?
Yes. I think one of the things that even I knew going into this that Toriyama is most famous for is drawing mechanical things. I think in general he's a fantastic artist. Like, I think everything looks really amazing. Art-wise, there's like nothing out of sorts at all. Like, this series doesn't age in that respect, I don't think, really.
Well, I think it also doesn't age because it doesn't really look like
anything else.
Right, yeah. I mean, there was a point in time where you could go back and things would look a lot more like this. I think it's I don't know. It's a lot more rounded than styles today are. And I think it's maybe that's a Tezuka influence. Because he always had curves and bulges, like people's noses and hairs were always wavy and curly. Everything today is sharper, more angular, I think, than especially original Dragon Ball art. Because obviously the art would change over time with Dragon Ball into Z and later on.
Yeah, I mean, I think it looks closer to even like Western, a lot of Western animation. I think we've talked about how Astro Boy and Tezuka and Goku are kind of both... what do you call them? They're kind of evolutions of Mickey Mouse, even just the hair.
Really?
And Disney. Yeah, because
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, the thing with the 2 ears, there's like an homage going back to Disney through the ages here with these big artists. And I could kind of see it. I mean, I see a lot of Astro Boy and Tezuka certainly in these early chapters, at least artistically. That's cool to see.
Like Goku is Bugs Bunny, and when Puar transforms into Goku, it's like Oswald the Silly Rabbit.
I feel like Bulma is kind of Bugs Bunny-ish in a lot of these. Like, I feel like she's trying to pull the strings, although she fails a lot too. So maybe she's more of like an Elmer Fudd type. I don't know. There's a lot of Looney Tunes-ish gags, certainly.
Yeah, she's holding it together for. Otherwise, this expedition would fall apart completely.
Definitely. So, what did you think of this first volume? We kind of skimmed through it first.
Yeah, I loved it. It was. I mean, you look at it as like a historical thing because the gags are some of them are pretty gross, especially things involving Oolong and Roshi. And fortunately, most of the time they do get punished for all the bad shit they do. So at least there's that.
Except Master Roshi doesn't always.
No.
Sometimes.
No. Well,
he does get an axe to the head next volume.
He also our first barf joke is Roshi in the next volume as well.
That was a good one. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that next time.
But even on this revisit, I did not expect to love Yamcha as much. I didn't remember loving him that much as a gag character. Goku is kind of he's quippier, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's also like he's a rube who quips. Like he's quick with a stupid answer, or like he doesn't understand things, and so he thinks that other people are stupid.
Yeah,
it's a good Goku guy.
I think Goku has a really interesting and fun personality through this first volume. I mean, he is the star of the show, but I think he certainly is the most amiable. He's definitely the most fun to kind of read through these first volumes. Also because everyone else around him is terrible.
Yeah.
They're like all terrible people. Everyone around him. I'm trying to think of Chi-Chi might be the only other person who's okay.
Well, she can. We find out later. That's volume 2. So
yeah,
good at that.
I mean, a lot of that I think is how it ages. Also, like reading this in 2018-19 is a lot different than reading this in 1984.
Yeah.
Or even in 1985 when the volume came out, I guess, and 2003 when this came out in English. And I'm going to talk a lot about that on the next volume, about how that ages. But yeah, I think it was okay. I'm looking forward to what's coming, kind of knowing generally what happens. But I was a little weirded out by some of it. So
I don't know. I laughed very, very hard at a lot of it.
Some was good, but and some of the art. I thought the art was outstanding throughout. I'll say that again. I think there's a reason Toriyama, became who he is today. And I think
so interesting that even back then Yamcha couldn't win a fight. Like he only won because Goku was hungry.
I kind of won. He didn't even like. Yeah, well, yeah. I guess they took the. He took the car. What did he take? The capsules.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Oh no, the capsules fell in the lake. Yeah, whatever.
That was I think.
Yeah. So yeah. I guess Yamcha is a dweeb. We'll kind of round this first one off. This is the Piece Together segment where we take your questions, comments, theories. This is probably going to be a pretty quick one this week. I am going to start with Mira, who says, "Greetings, One Piece podcast. I have a question for you. Aside from One Piece, which I assume is your favorite, which is your other currently running favorite series from Shonen Jump?" Anyone?
Oh, My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
Yep. My Hero.
I'm only kind of caught up on the My Hero manga. I just kind of skim it every week or catch what other people are talking about it. But I'm up with it and I love it.
Yeah, this is a bad week to not have Joey on because he reads, I think, everything in Jump.
Yeah.
But yeah, the only other thing that I read is My Hero, and I really like it.
I'm actually starting to watch the Promised Neverland anime. So.
Oh,
yep, that's running.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, I think at some point I'm going to start reading Dr. Stone because I've heard very good things.
Yeah, Casey's favorite, I think, is Dr. Stone. He was mentioning that.
Oh, you know what I like? I like Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, I need to read. I read, I think, the first chapter, but
like I don't know if I love it, but I'm reading it.
Bringing endorsement from Sam.
I of all people cannot say no to a series called Chainsaw Man.
Lucky Chainsaw? Yeah, that's a good point. That is his Twitter account. If you don't follow Sam, you should. Let's go to the next question from Josh, who said, thanks for the great content week after week. I wanted to know if you saw the One Piece crew's cameo in King Vader's newest Urban Dance anime video. And if you haven't...
What is that?
So
what is any of this?
So I actually watched one of these. I've been busy as hell, but I for some reason watched one of these. Urban Dance anime video.
Did you say King Vader?
That's the guy's name. He's verified on Twitter. I don't know what that takes, but they're pretty cool. They look really good for the budget I assume they have, which I assume is not very high. I think they're definitely worth at least checking out. If you have a.
And so how does it appear in the video?
I have not seen that yet, so I have not to answer his question. He also has a question for the show. I know you guys are busy, but any chance for a special episode or two this year? I would love to have one like the Moon one, but where you look at all the loose ends and as the story hits its endgame. Can't wait to hear your reactions to Oda's new estimate for the series end. Guys, we've talked about, I mean, this is not this person's fault. I think we all get a little carried away when we hear, it's going to end here, or, we're this far through, or, it'll go this far. Oda doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Even the editor is, I think the editor once said, it might be around this, but, it usually isn't what he says it is, even.
Right. And correct me if I'm wrong, Zach, but the entire reason that we had the Moon episode or the Moon thing that we recorded is because you made that editorial.
Right.
And
that was a supplement to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like you need Zach needs a wild shock of inspiration before we get another one of those, I think.
I once started trying to start a list of all the open-ended mysteries in the series so far.
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually, though. I do like the idea of trying to.
I think it's so granular in some places, and I don't know.
I mean, I think that's a great idea. I think if we do something like that, since we're brainstorming on the air as is, I would want to do that as a cooperative thing with a bunch of us, even putting our what is the thing we most want solved, by the end of the series.
Yeah.
I think that would be
because I mean, I would like to have another arcs of consequence type.
Well, next year we'll do that next. We're gonna do an actual arcs of consequence next year because that'll have been 5 years from the first one.
God, I can't believe it's been almost 4 years.
Yeah, that's insane.
And
but two arcs since
okay. Yeah, that's true. We didn't have Zoe then. I think it's just everything after Dressrosa. Yeah.
I remember being part of the live one for Matsuri-Con, and I think we had Zoe for that one.
We did, and I think we put it somewhere in there. I think I had it pretty high.
It was in there.
Yeah, it was in there somewhere. But I mean, I'm also... yeah, go ahead.
I'm hoping Wano wraps up before then. That way we can include it.
Yeah, I mean, the goal is that Wano hopefully will be done.
Yeah.
Yeah. If Wano seems like it's going to be wrapping up sometime at the beginning or middle of 2020, I will wait until it is over to do it. Yeah. Okay. This one comes from Chase, who said, thanks for everyone for this great podcast. Been listening every week for 3 years. Stephen Paul does an amazing job of translating and explaining on the podcast. I really appreciate what you're doing. Now, this person says all of this and does not give us any URL or link or way to find this, but I will mention it. because he says he's starting a business and he's selling volumes 1 through 66, the omnibus versions, and DVDs 1 through 21 on eBay. And he said he's going to donate 15% to us, but he gives us no way to find those. But feel free, if he tweets at us with that, I'll retweet it for him. So that's going to do it for our emails. Alex, what do we have on Reddit?
Well, we have 2 comments on Reddit this week. Yeah, it's kind of an off week for us, but you know what? I'm cool with that. This is from Lord Nemo 593. Hey, OPP. It's a rare occasion in the anime. They use the DBZ sound effect where it actually fits perfectly in the scene where both Katakuri and Luffy use both of their Conqueror's Haki. Sam and Ed, I'm not sure which sound effect this is, but is that the new type?
I thought it was the Super Saiyan 2 lightning sound effect.
Oh wow, like a sh like that thing.
I mean, I didn't honestly. It didn't stick out to me. So
yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I think they already use so many DBZ sound effects.
Yeah, it's just the Toei sound effect library. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was. Yeah. Also, they say. Also, which dinosaur do you think we'll get to see in Wano?
I hope a lot. I just want to say.
So to recap, thus far we have seen an Allosaurus and a Spinosaurus, which leaves many more dinosaurs.
Yeah. I need I used to know dinosaurs really down packed when I was a little kid, and now
T-Rex.
I don't. I mean, that's
a given. Okay, pterodactyl, although pterodactyls are not technically dinosaurs.
Well, okay, let's.
I took a class once.
Okay, well, to me, they're dinosaurs. Really and Pluto's a planet.
Triceratops.
Yeah, I'd like to see. I'd like to see a pterodactyl or a pteranodon, just because I want a giant Rodan type thing.
Oh god, there are so many fucking dinosaurs. I guess it makes sense. They literally were everything on this planet for a little while. But
wait, Zach, did you just type in
dinosaurs on Wikipedia? Yes, because I just was looking to see what would look cool. An Archaeoceratops is a weird looking ass dinosaur. It's got a weird feather thing coming out of its tail. I'm just I'm only on the bees right now.
You mean an Archaeopteryx?
No.
Okay. Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know. It's like a bird.
That's bird. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there a difference between a Barosaurus and a Brontosaurus? I guess there is.
I don't know what a Barosaurus is.
A Barosaurus looks similar, except in this picture, there's one at the American Natural History Museum in New York City, and it just looks like one that is bucking up, but it's kind of weird looking. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. A pterodon would be nice. Maybe an Ankylosaurus or as Ed mentioned, a Triceratops, and I think that would be really great because in Little Garden, Zoro squared off against one because they both used Santoryu. Yeah, I thought that was really funny.
Of course,
this one looks cool. Euplocephalus,
Brontosaurus or Apatosaurus type ones would be interesting because they're so big.
Yeah, anything that's huge would be, I think, really cool. A Giraffatitan? That's the name of a dinosaur?
What's it called?
Giraffatitan.
So it's
Giraffatitian. Yes. Titanic giraffe. Thank you, Wikipedia, for that explanation.
Oh my god. It's basically just, all of these long-necked things are the same.
They all look like Brontosauruses.
They're all nerds.
But the great thing is...
There was a time when Brontosaurus was declassified as a thing because it had the wrong head.
Oh,
but then
maybe
they reclassified it.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I don't know.
This was originally named a Brachiosaurus, which actually sounds more familiar. But I like the name Giraffatitan. That is an amazing
dinosaur
name.
Semantics are interesting.
I want to see a Dilophosaurus, but the kind from Jurassic Park that spits venom.
Yeah, with the hood or the
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there'll be a lot of Jurassic Park references in this arc. I hope.
Oh yeah. By the way, I downloaded Jurassic Park in Japanese.
That sounds great.
And it's pretty awesome.
I would hope.
I mean, hey, was it Star Wars Episode 3 was pretty good in Japanese too? I found out this weekend.
Yeah, I also after sending that After sending that tweet, I went out and found it, and the other ones too. The other prequels. So at some point I'll probably watch those.
So the nice thing about Japanese dubbing of Western movies is that you can find like 5 One Piece characters in every movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I was gonna say
it's pretty insane. I also got Pacific Rim in Japanese, which I have to completely watch, but the voice cast is absolutely bonkers. They're all from Mecha stuff.
I have to find Seinfeld in Japanese.
Zach, you live in New York, man. You
I
go
should
down
do
to
that.
some
I just
bootleg
realized.
DVD store
No,
in
I think
Chinatown.
I think Book Off has Seinfeld in Japanese.
Really?
Oh my god, get on that.
Yeah, I know. What am I waiting for?
Yeah, seriously. I'm being serious, Zach.
I know you're being serious. I'm also being serious.
I wonder if they redo the titles like they did with the Japanese Simpsons that they were talking about.
Oh
on Talking
yeah,
Simpsons.
I heard. What was
with the it was like translated and then translated back again.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Wait, now I have to look up Japanese
Simpsons titles as if they were anime. Yeah. Okay, so are we done with this question?
Was there another one?
Yeah, there's another one.
Okay.
This might incite some discussion. Super Trooper 92. With it being an off week and all, let's travel to Conspiracy Corner via Theory Turnpike and Hypothesis Highway. Oh boy. Last arc, Luffy had to improve his color of observation haki in order to defeat Katakuri, and while in Dressrosa, showed off his color of armament haki to create a hard, yet still rebounding plastic to defeat Doflamingo. That leaves Kaido as his last haki hurdle. I piggybacked this on our One Piece a few months back, but wanted your opinion on this idea. Conqueror's haki, which I will call COC, is not a burst of power.
We're on a podcast. You could just say the whole thing.
I'm just going to say Conqueror's haki, yeah.
Yeah.
Is not a burst of power, yet a sapping of others' willpower / haki. Those below a certain level of training or proficiency will instantly be drained of that reserve and pass out from exhaustion immediately, while those with larger stores can survive and even fight back. With both Big Mom and Kaido, Luffy tuckered out way quicker than he would on average due to their innate Conqueror haki strength before fleeing or succumbing to a one-hit KO. By connecting with the people in Wano and his allies that will support him, I assume Luffy's determination will grow to even higher levels until he can compete with the likes of Big Mom and Kaido. It would allow him to not only maintain his top forms, but also put a dent in the 4 Emperors. Sorry for the long theory, but what week is better for this trip than a no chapter week? Thanks for everything you do and have a wonderful day. That is an interesting that's an interesting thought, actually.
How else is he gonna fight Kaido? After what we've seen, he's got to figure out some way to land a punch on this guy.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that Kaido mentioned there's too many Conqueror haki guys around. I thought that was an interesting comment and maybe foreshadowing. I don't know. Maybe Luffy and Kid will fuse their Conqueror's haki together, or.
I mean, it makes me wonder what causes the Conqueror haki to proliferate. If it's an internal thing, like if it's something everyone's capable of, but
midichlorians,
kind of like that, or if it's like a bestowed upon thing, like if it comes about because of something, or if it's genetic, even this line of people has Conqueror's haki.
I think it's definitely genetic. I feel like it's definitely genetic because all of the really big, strong guys or the really important ones have Conqueror's haki.
Yeah, but what if someone had a really wimpy son? What if Garp ended up having a wimpy son instead of Luffy? Who didn't have any initiative? Would that person still have the capability of Conqueror's haki? Or it seems to me in the series you need to have a strength of will to be able to wield or to even be able to have it. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that time will tell, but it's an interesting theory. I don't know if there's a depletion of I only have a certain amount of Conqueror's haki left. I think that it's just a dormant thing that you can tap into. I don't believe that there's a haki reserve for Conqueror's haki. There's a gauge, if it's a video game, I only have 15% of my bar left. I don't know. I don't buy that for Conqueror's haki specifically, because it's It's an aura more than anything else, right?
Right. It's not the thing that can be completed necessarily. It's that it's always sort of at a level, but I think your state of mind and your confidence sort of also factor into that. You might lose the ability to use it if you don't continue to have confidence in yourself. Could be.
Yeah, I don't know. Good question.
Don't know that much about it.
No, I mean, obviously, at this point, hockey in general is still kind of a mystery, as are devil fruits, if you think about it.
The Conqueror's hockey in particular.
Yeah, certainly. All right, any other questions? Sounds like a no, Alex?
Nope, that's it.
Yep. Okay, I guess time to round off. This has been the One Piece Podcast, episode 552 for Sunday, January 13th, 2019. Good episode today, as usual. Sam, thank you so much for what I could only assume was a quadruple anime recap.
Yes, it was quadruple big and good.
Quadruple plus good.
Quadruple plus good. And also, you listened to the first episode of the Dragon Ball broadcast. If you liked what you heard, you could check out future episodes coming at some point in the future on patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. I think we'll probably, I've already read the second and third volume, so we should probably convene to start talking about those soon. So we'll probably put those out in.
I've got the second one read. I had the second one read back then. I just haven't gotten to the third one yet.
Yeah, so those will be on our Patreon feed probably at some point in the next month or so. So check that all out. Sam, where can people find you?
They can find me on Twitter at Lucky Chainsaw. They can find me on AnimeNewsNetwork.com doing the daily streaming reviews for One Piece, Black Clover, and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And they can find me on the One Piece podcast almost every week doing the anime recaps. Sometimes there are technical difficulties, but we work with what we've got.
Thank you, Sam. Alex, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Dude! And at Weeb Simpsons. Yes, if you like Simpsons and shitposting, you'll love Weeb Simpsons. You can also listen to me monthly on Toho Yaro, a Japanese film club podcast. The Yellow Handkerchief episode should be released sometime this week. We are recording tomorrow, so if you don't mind a little peek behind the curtain. And that's it.
Cool.
Oh, wait, no, that isn't it.
No.
You can go to superartfight.com/merch and buy the card game that I worked on called Cute Animals on Fire. It's a party game that you can play with 3 people or more, and you don't need to know how to draw in order to play it. It's a lot of fun, and it's, a lot like those judge-based card games that are so popular now, like Monikers or Cards Against Humanity, in that, in how it works. But there's also drawing involved. So please get your copy today. It's super fun.
Nice. And Ed, where could the good people out there contact us?
Well, I'm on Twitter at Weeb Trailers. You can check out all the weird old anime trailers I post on there. And you are Zach_Logan on Twitter. My Twitter is Edward E. One Piece. The podcast can be found at OnePiecePodcast.com, Twitter.com, YouTube.com, and Facebook.com/OnePiecePodcast. OnePiecePodcast@gmail.com is our email address. One Piece Podcast is our Skype name. Please support us, Patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. Our subreddit is r/OnePiecePodcast to leave us some piece together there. You can subscribe on SoundCloud, subscribe on Google Play, subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts, or call us on our phone number. Zach?
And that phone number is 347-497-MAJI.
Maji.
That phone number again, yes. 347-497-6254. Call anytime.
Anytime.
With your questions, comments, theories, or favorite dinosaur. Thanks all for coming on this week. I do not have trivia this week. I just, we'll be back next week with our regularly scheduled episode. We have a manga recap for chapter 930, so only 70 chapters left in One Piece, guys.
And I think we're going to have the whole crew there.
Yeah, the whole crew will be back. We're going to have special guests who I will be announcing when we get closer, just in case something happens. I don't like usually announcing too far ahead of time. We're going to have a special guest on next week and the week after I have booked. They have never been on the podcast before. That will be the only hint I give right now. So enjoy that. So we'll see you next Sunday, everyone. My name is Zach.
My name is Ed.
And my name is Alex.
Goodbye.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed this episode, which is probably entitled Dragon Ball Broadcast plus some news and piece together, in parentheses.